Okay, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Discover Thermomix session. I'm just going to introduce myself, and first of all, and then I'm going to introduce my colleagues that I've got on the call, especially Sarah, who's going to be cooking alongside me. So a lot of you know me already because I've seen customers and prospective customers join us tonight. But for everybody else who doesn't, my name is Lindsay. My background is I'm a trained chef. I ran a food business, my own food business for many years. When I first came across Thermomix, I said no to it and continued to say no to it for about 5 years. I just thought it was a very overpriced gadget. I didn't need one. I could cook. What's more, I enjoyed cooking. And I felt that having one of these machines would take that enjoyment away from me. So I came across this advisor on a number of occasions. She said to me, you really need to see it. You've got to see it in action. And I said to her, no, I don't. I love cooking. I know how to make everything from first principles, not interested. And it remained that way for quite a few years until one evening, I found myself at a Thermomix demo in a local village. And I thought, well, I'll keep an open mind, see what happens. And I was absolutely blown away by it. They got me at the bread. Actually, we needed bread, and we're going to do some rolls for you this evening. We needed bread in 2 minutes. The quality of the bread was fantastic. We went on to make a load of other dishes. We're going to cook one of them tonight as well, the frozen fruit sorbet. And I could not believe what we could achieve in such a short space of time. So a few months after that, I decided I was going to take the plunge. I thought about it for a long time. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to buy one of these machines. I'll use it in my business and I'll see how I get on with it. So I bought my first machine as a customer, absolutely loved it. 6 months later, joined as an advisor because I was very active on social media and people kept asking me what it was, what you could do with it, where to buy one. And I thought, well, I'm missing a trick here. I can sort of add an additional venture onto my food business. And 3 years later, it's completely replaced my food business, actually. In fact, I threw a lot of my old stuff out just the other day. I thought, right, I need to get rid of it now. So I'm now a team leader with Thermomix. I lead a team of about 15 advisors. We've got lots of different people in the advisor team, many of whom were customers, a bit like me, and just love sharing their passion for Thermomix with their friends and with their colleagues. So have decided to join the team as an advisor. We've got people from all walks of life. I'll let Sarah introduce herself in a minute. But Michaela's on the call. So Michaela and Marie are going to be helping with the chat. Michaela was one of my first customers, actually. She's an IT consultant, moonlights as a very successful Thermomix advisor, but because she loves her machine. Marie is a chocolate maker. She makes the most incredible handmade bespoke chocolates. Marie, you will have to pop your details in the chat. And owns an events company called Three Little Birds, which specialises in running chocolate workshops, sushi workshops, cocktail making workshops. So she's a very useful person to have in your phone directory. Who else have we got? We've got Glynis as well on the call, who again was a customer, became an advisor, just loved her machine so much. Glynis said no to this machine for even longer than me. I think it was about 9 years, actually. Glynis is a weight loss consultant with the Cambridge Diet Plan as her full-time job, but does Thermomix alongside it because it fits really well and she loves it. And so I'm going to hand over to Sarah. Sarah, if you would just want to introduce yourself quickly. Sarah's very at the opposite end of the spectrum for me, to me. So I came at this as a trained chef. Sarah couldn't cook before her Thermomix arrived and actually was known for not being able to cook. So I'm going to hand over to Sarah and just let her say a few words about herself.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Yeah, I could never cook. I bought one of these for my husband just for Christmas, and it just blew me away what it can do. It was meant to be for him, really. So he found cooking supper a bit easier when he got back from work. Anyway, I seem to take over it. We luckily have a his and hers at the moment because one is his and one's a demo one I've got for being an advisor. But yeah, I struggled to scramble egg at the beginning, but now it's just amazing what food you can produce in it with just such ease, because for my benefit, it can talk me through step by step every recipe. So I think we need to get going. So the sun-dried tomato, I'm going to make some tear and share, sun-dried tomato tear and share bread. So here is the screen. I'm not sure, Alfred, can you just
Oh, we've got the production company. We've got Alfie helping out.
Here.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
So this is where it talks you through step by step. So I'm going to start cooking. So I've done the oven. I've greased the baking paper already. Right, 220 grams of water. You can see it weighs out at the same time as well. Hopefully I did. That will do. Next, 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then it's telling me to add some dried instant yeast or some fresh yeast. I've got some dried instant yeast. Can you just hang on? It's okay. Okay, just put it back up, Alfie, and we can. Then it's telling me to insert the mixing, the lid, put the lid on, and then it's going to just spin that for 20 seconds.
So all that's doing is mixing the yeast and the water together.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I don't usually bother with that. I just shove everything in. So you'll
know
that for
side.
next time.
I'm not experienced enough to know that. I just do as I'm told on this.
Yeah.
But that's why it's just so beneficial for me, and I have all confidence in the world now to make any type of bread. We made the most beautiful hot cross buns, but we were all a bit hot cross buns that bunned out over Easter because I just couldn't stop making them.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely so simple. So now you're adding the flour.
Adding the 500 grams of flour. And then 90 grams of sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah, so they're just going in whole as well. You don't need to chop anything up because the Thermomix is going to do that when it needs.
Then some olive oil. And at the same time, it's going back to the scales. And every time it's telling you to add something, then the scales zero themselves ready for what you're going to put in next. And next, a bit of sea salt. And then I put the lid on, and then that's it. So all the ingredients in there, and then it's just going to knead for 2 minutes.
Yeah, so the kneading functions come on, it's kneading away for 2 minutes. So at that point, you can do as Sarah's doing. She's very well practiced and trained here. You can clear away. And I think for a lot of us that are busy professionals, busy mums, just being able to have that sort of time and space to be able to clear away while you've got your sous chef in the kitchen taking care of the cooking process so that you don't have to, is just such a benefit, because actually you find yourself, I think we've all got so many things running through our minds these days, and just having one of these machines means that you've got one less thing running through your mind. So we're going to let that knead away. What I'm going to do now is just start the butter. Actually, I wasn't going to do butter. I often do butter at these demonstrations. So I'm just going to work out which machine I've got my butter on. I think it was this one. So I'm going to look, whilst we do that, what I'm going to do is show you my screen actually. So you can have a look at my screen. So you can see today I have got this cook today. So if I go back to the home screen on the Thermomix, and this is why these sessions are so good for new customers to join, is because we take you through everything step by step. The home screen has got 3 dials, and you've got time, temperature, and speed. And if you think about it, when you cook, it really is a combination of those different functions. The difference being with the Thermomix is that you don't have to stand there stirring, because the Thermomix will do it for you. And it will also precisely temperature control. So you don't need to have a think about, oh, you know, do I need to turn my hob up? Do I need to turn it down? The Thermomix will do it to perfection. So again, one less thing to think about. that's my home screen. Then if I swipe across, I've got all these different functions, which if we've got time, I will go into a little bit later. Then if I go into my main menu, this is the really interesting bit. I've got a weekly planner. So I can have a look through all the recipes on the Cookie Do sort of platform, which is our like online recipe database. And I can say, oh, that recipe I'm going to cook today, and it will put it in my weekly planner for today. I don't think I've got anything scheduled for later on, but you can schedule your recipes for the day, for the next week, for the next month, for the next year if you really want to. So here we go. You can see what I've been up to today. That was my kids' dinner. Delicious orzo pasta with chicken and pesto. You make your own pesto first. Here it is. Absolutely delicious, easy, fresh pesto made in about 10 seconds. And then I'm going to come on and I'm going to start cooking butter. But actually, I'm going to go back to Sarah before we do that, because Sarah, I think it will have finished kneading, and Sarah's going to show us how to shape her buns.
Right. Yeah, it's all done. That was 2 minutes, all needed. And now it says do 12 equal sizes. And actually, I'm a little bit. And just use these. You can use these scales as well, but as these are here. Right, Alfie, 852 divided by 12. 852 divided by 12. What's that? Usually around 74.
Yeah, 75. I usually go for about 75, 80 grams a portion.
Yeah. So I'm just making them into nice, neat round balls. Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, it couldn't be easier, really, could it? And the interesting thing with this recipe is that we're not giving it a first proof. And often a lot of the breads with the Thermomix don't require that first proof. Now, the hot cross buns did, but things like rolls, actually, you can get away with shaping them immediately after it's kneaded, popping them on a baking tray, and then putting them somewhere warm. Now, Sarah's got a beautiful Aga behind her, so I should imagine they're going to go somewhere near that, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going. They can go in just the warming oven, actually.
Yeah.
Because I put a temperature thing in that, and that is around 50, 55, 60.
Yeah, that's perfect. So around what you're aiming for is you can force proof them in a very low oven at 50 degrees. You would want to cover them with a little bit of greased cling film so that they don't dry out, and then pop them somewhere warm. And then they will grow in size. You're looking for them to sort of double in size. And that takes somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour.
I was after, as I'm not very organised, I was after just a quick bread recipe to go with some soup for lunch. And obviously, as usual, I left it to the last minute. And I just asked the group, what is I need a quick bread recipe, and this is what they gave me, and it's so easy and so quick.
Yeah. And you can put other things in there. You could put olives in there. You can put cheese in there. You could put some basil in there. You could add some garlic to it. It's really very versatile. So while Sarah's doing the rest of that, I'm just going to come back to me. So hopefully I'll just spotlight myself. And I'm going to get on with making the butter. So the key thing we need here is cream at room temperature. If your cream is cold, you will not get butter. So that's a little tip for you. If you have super cold cream, you are likely to be whipping your cream for a long time before it turns to butter. So if you're a bit worried about over whipping it, chill it down. It's a chef's trick. Okay, so I've put my butterfly whisk in, and for the new customers on the call, to put your butterfly whisk in, you just pop the whisk in and then just give it a little twist. Can you see? I've just got it in and then just given it a little twist towards one of the blades. Hang on, my husband's asking me something. 5, just 5 for that, and then a whole 10 for that one. So the butterfly whisk goes in, and then it's asking me to put in 500 grams of double cream. Now, this double cream really does need using up, actually. I hope it's still all right. It's just slightly out of date, but it's only going to be used for us. Well, my kids for the brownies. So I'm going to use it up by making some butter. And then this has got the added benefit that I can then freeze it as well. So let's put that in. So this is a really good way, and actually I've got customers that will buy up double cream that is on its sell-by date. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get them for like 10, 20p a pot. Bring it home and then make butter with it. So how much have I got? All right, I've got 500 grams. That's all I need. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the next button, and it's asking me to put the lid on. Now, where are my lids? Here we go. Because I used them earlier and I've washed them up. Right, so the lid goes on. Click on next, and then it's just going to whisk away at speed 3.5 for 1 minute. Now that is the starting time. You may need to prolong this by a little bit longer than a minute, so we'll see how we go. But you can tell when it's ready because the Thermomix, there's a very, very different noise. I don't know if you'll pick this up actually, but you can hear the buttermilk split out from the butter. And the great thing when you make your own butter, and this demonstrates the cost savings of the Thermomix, it's actually cheaper to make it yourself. I can't believe that butter now costs $1.50, $1.80, $1.90 a pack actually, depending on the brand that you use. Whereas when you make it yourself, you can make about 350 grams of butter, which is a little bit, about 30% more than a standard pack. So the cost of a 500 or 600 gram pot of double cream, which is about £1.80. But not only do you get the butter out, you also get the buttermilk. So let me just have a quick look at that. Yep, and that's gone. That's turned already. So I'm making butter because actually we're going to use it in the brownies a little bit later. So what I want to show you is what I do now with the butter to drain it off. So very, very quickly, I'm just going to bring you over on my other tripod, bring you over to my sink. Hopefully you'll see, yes, I've got some light going on here. Let's move that bowl out of the way. So here is my sink. And you're going to think I'm a little bit, those that haven't seen this before will think I'm a little bit crazy. Hang on. So what I need is my simmering basket and a jug. Okay, so this is the simmering basket, which is so all of our accessories for the Thermomix can also be used in other ways. So this is a simmering basket. It's called a simmering basket because it sits inside the Thermomix mixing bowl. And generally it is used to steam rice or vegetables. Okay, it also can be used as a sieve, as a sort of a mini colander. And you can see here, this is really clever. You've got a vent here. Now, when you're making homemade lemonade, which is amazing, if we've got time at the end, I might give it a go. I'll see if I've got a clean Thermomix jug. You put this inside the Thermomix bowl when you've made your homemade lemonade, and then you can just filter it straight into a jug. So clever. So these machines are designed to be very, very versatile and actually replace an awful lot of kitchen equipment. So you can either get rid of it, sell it, and then you would just have the Thermomix. So ideal if you're sort of short on space. Right, so here we go. Here's my, hopefully you can see this. I know I've chopped my head off. But all I'm going to do is just pour the buttermilk through there, but don't ditch the buttermilk. This isn't really the acidic buttermilk. You can just use this as you would full cream milk. So you can put it in cereal, porridge, tea or coffee, or you could bake with it. And then, I'm throwing butter everywhere now. Just going to get that last little bit out. And then thoroughly clean my hands, or you could use a little pair of disposable gloves. My hands were clean before we started this, but I am just going to give them another rinse and dry. So what you want to do now is, and this is great fun for children, here's your butter. You want to squeeze out the rest of that buttermilk. Okay, so you can see it all just draining out. You'll get a lot more buttermilk out. Now this is very, very soft, this butter. So then, and I'm not going to show you this too carefully because I could spend a few minutes doing it. I'm just going to show you with a little lump. Okay. So what you would do with your butter, once you've made it, is you would bring it over to the sink. Once you've thoroughly drained it and squeezed all that buttermilk out, is you run your tap very cold and I will do this while Sarah gets on with the next recipe. I'm just going to make sure that tap is cold, because obviously if it's warm, you will melt your butter, which you don't want to do. And you wash the butter to get all the rest of the buttermilk out of it. And this stage is really important because it will stop the butter going rancid. So you want to get as much buttermilk out as possible. Then what you can do with your homemade butter, it will keep, you can add some salt to it if you prefer salty butter. It will keep in the fridge for about a week, or you can freeze it. So you can roll it into logs. You can flavor it if you want to. You can put garlic in it, herbs in it, sun-dried tomatoes, you know, chopped up parsley, chopped up, you know, gherkins if you want to, and roll it out into a log, wrap it in cling film and freeze it, and it will just keep pretty much indefinitely. So that is my butter. There you go. In there, that's how to save yourself a little bit of money to start with the Thermomix. And even if you buy your cream at full price, you will still be saving money with it. And it's great fun to do, especially if you've got children. It's a really sort of educational process as well. So I'm going to deal with the rest of the butter, and I'm going to hand back to Sarah, who I think, are you going to show us the rolls? They're already on a tray, or are you just going to move on?
They're already on the tray,
dish?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the oven. Well, no, they're proving.
Okay. Proving, right. I'm just going to mute myself. Fabulous.
So I'm going to move on to the Moroccan chicken. I've already done the couscous. I soaked it for a bit, and then I put the couscous. This is a varoma tray, so this does the steaming. So I just put some sort of wet, wrung out baking paper on here, then placed the couscous on there, and then steamed it for 15 minutes. So this fits on top of the lid. So you take the measuring cup off, you put that on. I put some water in the bowl. I put the couscous on there, and then the lid on, and that steams away the couscous for 15 minutes. Then, so that's all done, and that's in a tray here already. Okay, so I'm going to get on with the chicken. It's telling me to add whole onion and 2 garlic cloves. So I've just quartered the onion, and I've got 2 garlic cloves there whole. I need to put the lid on. I'll insert the measuring cup. This measuring cup's great. Lindsay, you perhaps can explain more about the measuring cup with the holes in to add the mayonnaise. So if you're making mayonnaise, when you're adding the oil, you can just put the oil in the whole lid here, and then it will trickle in slowly, so you don't have to slowly be pouring the oil into the mixture, into the mayonnaise. Right. So that is going to chop that up for 5 seconds. That's chopping it up. So I'll show you what that has done. So that has completely chopped the garlic clove and the onion up in 5 seconds. And then 20 grams of olive oil. Just tar it. This is very different from my usual job. I used to ride and compete event horses. And actually this, I wish I'd had one of these when I was back competing, because you can take it with you anywhere. So on any, if you go on a staycation, or I spent a lot of time in a horse box, this would have been brilliant. Right, this is telling me to do ground cumin, ground ginger, ground turmeric, some ground cinnamon, which I've got all those herbs in here because I measured it out earlier. And then it's asking me to make to add some chicken stock paste, and this is some homemade one. I've never made chicken stock paste before, so I made some 2 nights ago, ready for this, and it's brilliant. So
what have you done with Sarah?
I don't know where she's gone. I haven't got a clue. My husband keeps asking where his wife's gone. So I've got the chicken stock paste, my own, that we made. So, but it's just so nice knowing what is going into your food. You know, you're making everything from scratch so easily, and so you know everything that's going into it.
And you can make a vegetable stock paste as well, can't you? And it's so easy because actually it's like giving yourself more food for free, because actually you can use up lots of leftover vegetables in the stock paste. And the Thermomix will cook them all down with some salt. You can leave it to it for 40 minutes. You would never be able to make something like this with a pan and a spoon, because it would just catch on the bottom, or you would have to be constantly stirring it quite quickly. But the Thermomix will do it all for you. And about 45 minutes later, you've got this beautiful reduced stock paste that you can decant into a kiln jar and then use in place of stock cubes.
This is what I've learned about this week: preserved lemons. I didn't know there was such a thing. I've bought in the past lemon slices to put in the gin. But never heard of preserved lemons. So I've learned all about preserved lemons from a fantastic team this week. So I found some. And you can make those as well, but I didn't get time by the time I found out what they were. Right,
so they're a key, the preserved lemons are actually a key ingredient in Moroccan cuisine, and we're doing this in the Moroccan chicken and couscous dish. So the recipe does call for preserved lemons. Now, you don't actually have to use them. So if you find ingredients that you haven't got, you don't need to go to the expense of buying them. These are guided recipes and they are there as suggestions, but actually you can just sub ingredients in and out as you want to.
So I'm adding some raisins and some dried apricots. And then for the chicken, it's actually asked me to add 1,000 boneless chicken thighs. I'm not going to do quite that many actually, because I don't think it's too late for kids to eat tonight. So I won't do it all. I'll just do half of that. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm just smelling this. It's all right, I'll clean it all up in a minute. So then I chopped up, because it told me to a bit earlier in the recipe, some coriander leaves and some flat leaf parsley. Right, so there we go.
And the Thermomix does that at the start of the recipe, doesn't it, Sarah? But we just felt it wasn't really necessary to show it. So you would put that in at the start, chop it all up, remove it to a bowl and set aside, and then continue with your recipe.
So it's telling me to sprinkle couscous with 2 tablespoons of water using oiled hands, and I've done that actually. So so transferring the couscous back onto the lined tray. Sorry, let's do that. I'm just going to wash my hands because I've been doing the chicken.
So this is a great thing with the Thermomix, is that you can do what we call this multi-level cooking. So while you've got a sauce or a soup or the base for a stock cooking in the bottom of your Thermomix bowl, you can then layer up your Thermomix. You can have other things cooking within the simmering basket if appropriate and called for in the recipe. We won't have that in this particular recipe because we've got the chicken thighs in there, which is taking up all the space. But now Sarah is using the Varoma unit, which sits on top, and the Varoma unit is to steam. And a little bit later on, you're going to see me using the Varoma unit in a different dish as well. So this just minimises all the washing up for you. And let's mention at this point that the Thermomix washes itself up as well, which is amazing, isn't it? And we've just got everything layered up. There's no mess around, maybe a chopping board and a spatula and a knife, and that's about it. Everything gets done and dealt with by the Thermomix.
That's just going to now, Veromas, that's just going to steam now for 10 minutes.
Fabulous, right.
And that's it. Then I can
Is it back to
a glass of wine?
go and have a glass of wine or a gin and tonic? Why not? Okay, so it's back to me. Right, so I'm going to get on with the brownies now, I think. So I'm going to take you back to this machine over here because I've finished with the butter recipe. As you can see, let me just walk you through the rest of the recipe as it appears on the screen. Just by clicking next, it actually gives you the step-by-step instructions on the screen. So, you know, I know you've seen me deal with the butter, but actually you might be thinking, well, I wouldn't know how to do that. Well, you don't need to know how to do it because you've got your own sous chef here or your own chef. walking you through that recipe step by step, telling you what to do. It's like having a chef in an earpiece telling you what to do. So there we go. Even tells you how to rinse it and then serve the butter chilled. Okay, so let's finish that recipe. Now I'm going to go back into my weekly planner and have a little look for my brownie recipe. So this is the brownie recipe I've selected tonight. Normally I do a different one, but I wanted to have a play with this. I saw it done actually on another demo over the weekend, and I thought it looked good fun and a little bit different. So this is actually a Mexican recipe. So the one thing you're going to notice when I click start cooking is that the units are actually all in imperial. So as I click through, it gives it to you in ounces. Now so we've got ounces and pounds rather than grams and kilograms, but we don't need to worry about that because my scales automatically reset. So can you see my scales are all in ounces? Now if I just press on, I haven't got a bowl on there. Just want to show you what happens when I press on those scales. So let's put my bowl back. So I'm just using the bowl that I made the butter in. And again, great benefit of this machine. You don't need to use lots of different bowls. You don't need to necessarily wash up in between steps. I've just finished up the door. It drives me mad that my children come in and then don't shut the door. You don't need to wash up in between steps necessarily. Now, obviously, if I was making a chili and then going on to make a brownie, I would wash the bowl up. But because I've just made butter, and I'm going to be using the butter in this recipe, I'm just going to keep going with the bowl. So I'm minimizing that, all of that effort and washing up. And that is the whole philosophy behind Thermomix. We want you to be able to spend time doing other things that you love rather than just doing a lot of the tedious processes involved in cooking. Now, people might think, well, I love cooking. You know, I love those processes. This is going to take it away. And I can assure you it doesn't. What it does is it speeds everything up so that you can actually cook more and do more of what you love doing. So now I've got my bowl in place. Let's see what happens when I reset my scales to 0. If I just press down on them, you can see, there we go, the scales working. So we've got built-in scales, absolutely, hands down, one of my favorite features, those built-in scales. So it's going to walk me through this recipe step by step. So really you can't go wrong. Now, it's so simple, actually, children can use it. So my 12-year-old, 14-year-old boy has been making curries since he was about 11, since I first had the Thermomix. And he's been doing them from scratch. He grinds and toasts his own spices, and then he just follows the process through. And often I'll say to him, Jamie, what are you doing? You know, you appear to be on your phone. And he'll be like, well, Mum, I'm cooking, actually. And I'll say, well, no, you're not. You're sitting on Insta. And he'll say, well, the Thermomix is cooking. So there we go. He's doing what he loves, whilst the Thermomix is doing all the hard work for him. Right. I'm going to just skip through this recipe. I'm not going to put the nuts in. We've got a nut allergy in house. So I'm just going to override that function. So again, it's important to say that these are guided recipes. You do not need to follow them to the letter. If there's ingredients you want to sub out or add, then you can do. It's not going to tell you off. So I'm just going to skip through the nuts. And then I'm going to get going on the rest of the recipe. So here we go, 5 ounces of unsalted butter at room temperature. Well, I don't need to slice mine, and it is already at room temperature. Look at this. This is all my butter that I did rinse off. So there it goes. And I'll just sort it out afterwards. I'll just pop it in the fridge probably. Right, reset my scales to 0. Let's see if I can get my tripod down a little bit more. And then, because I'm leaning on it, right, I'm going to put in 5 ounces. That's about 150 grams. So you can see it's just counting up, right, 5.1 ounces, that'll do. Now, 3 ounces of cocoa powder. So I've got my cocoa powder weighed out. Now, interestingly enough, this recipe, often when I make brownies, I use real chocolate in them, and that's what gives it its really squidgy texture. This is just done with cocoa powder, actually, or you could use cacao if you wanted to, but I'm just using cocoa tonight. So there's 3 ounces going in. There we go, straight in, and it's weighed it in for me. Click on next. Just going to grab a tea towel so I can wipe my hands. 9 ounces of sugar. Now I'm going to use the brown sugar because I quite like putting brown sugar in brownies because it makes them nice and squidgy. So there we go. My brown sugar goes in. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And salt really makes that chocolate flavour come out. So don't skip that. Then it's asking me to put the lid on, which is of course sat over by the sink, which is where I was. Put the lid on, and it's now going to heat away. So have a look at my dials. What have I got on my dials? I've got 7 minutes, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. No idea what that is in centigrade, but it's probably around 50, 60, something like that. So it's just going to melt the sugar and the butter together and mix in the cocoa. And it's asked me to turn the speed selector to 1.5. So there we go. So what happened is, if you can see in the top, I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, because I haven't got my light over it, but this is where my extra pair of hands takes over. I don't have to worry about what it's doing. I don't have to do a bain-marie. I haven't got chocolate anyway, but I don't have to melt it all in a microwave or in a saucepan, keep stirring. I can simply go off and start something else. So actually what I'm going to do is start my main meal. I think let's just have a quick look at my time. Yes. So my main meal, I've got my pudding going. I am going to prepare the salmon and ginger sauce now. This is a great recipe. Thanks, Michaela, for putting it in the chat, so you can go and have a look. Obviously, Thermomix owners, you've got access to Cookie Do, but prospective owners, you can register on Cookie Do, download the app to any number of devices that you want to, and you've got a free access for 28 days to have a look at Cookie Do. You then get a further 6 months when you buy your machine. And then Cookie Do costs about £30 a year thereafter, which is well worth it for access to nearly 70,000 recipes and counting. We bring out every single market that we sell Thermomix in. We'll bring out at least 2 to 3 new collections every single month. And collections are recipe books, and I will show you those a little bit later. So I'm going to go into my second Thermomix here. And I've got my salmon and ginger sauce recipe. And this is the start. So if I just go back, there we go. I press start cooking, and it's going to tell me exactly what to do. So this is a great idea. Now, if you want to do something like tag team cooking, so if one of you, you're both sort of a couple of busy professionals, one of you wants to start a recipe and then has to go off and take a phone call, or wants to go out shopping, or wants to go and have a shower, whatever it is, the other person can come along, and you don't need to go through a lengthy sort of briefing session or handover, because actually you've got the Thermomix there, which will just talk you through the recipe step by step. You'll know exactly where you've got up to, because the step will be on the screen. And then all you need to do is press next, and off you go. You can continue with the recipe. So you can hand over recipes very easily to other members of the family, which is great. Obviously, it just takes a little bit of that pressure off of the person that cooks the food. And there are no excuses here. If you are not a cook, you don't need to be a cook to use a Thermomix. You just need to be able to read what's on the screen. So as long as you can read and follow instructions, that might be slightly difficult for some people. I know I'm not great at following instructions. I like to have a play about with all my recipes, but I'm going to try very hard tonight and follow it. You can use a Thermomix. So I am going to put in, without further ado, my 1/2 to 1 long red chili, de-seeded. So I'm definitely going to de-seed it, because they're pretty hot at the moment, these red chilies. I don't know if anybody else has found this, but I usually have a nibble just to see what sort of heat is in it. And actually, the red and green are super hot. So now it's asking me for 3 centimeters of fresh ginger, just peeled and cut into round thin slices. So here we are. So I actually freeze my ginger. I don't know what 3 centimeters is, but I'm just going to go for that sort of thing. I do love a bit of ginger. A garlic clove. So here we go. Here's a garlic clove. Now tonight, you're actually very lucky attending this demo, because we're doing 2 main meals. We don't often do 2 mains, but you're seeing a chicken main and now you're seeing a fish main, and they're both going to use the Baroma unit, which is great because it just demonstrates every single aspect of this appliance. So the garlic goes in. Now, the spring onion, trimmed and cut into halves. So there's my spring onion going in. 2 sprigs of fresh coriander. Now, I had some coriander that I've frozen, chopped up and frozen. So that's just going in like that. I'm making a marinade here, actually. I think that's what it's doing. Now, put the lid into the measuring cup. And then it's asking me to turn that speed selector to speed 7. So it's going to chop it all up. So it tells me exactly what it's doing on the bottom of that screen. So that was about 5 seconds, speed 7. So it's going to finely chop it. Click on next. Now it wants me to scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl. I need to find a spatula. There we are. So let's just show you what's happened in 7 seconds. Faster than any knife could work. Oh, it smells. I just love that combination of flavors, that real Asian flavors. Beautiful. Okay, let's put you back. And then add a tablespoon of lemon juice or a tablespoon of lime juice. Okay, now I did have my squeezer here. So I've got a little lime that's looking slightly past its best, actually. I'm just going to put my scales on. So at any point in the recipe, even when it's cooking, as long as the Thermomix is not over about speed 3 or 4, you can put your scales on. After that, then it's liable to sort of throw the scales out because there'll be a little bit of movement. But generally under about speed 3 or 4, you can put the scales on at any point in the Thermomix recipe, which is great because it means you don't need to have a separate set of weighing scales. So tablespoon, it's about 15 grams. It should be about half a lime. There we go. I'm on 13, 15. Brilliant. Okay. That goes in. Take my scales off. Click on next. 2 teaspoons of honey. So I've got these lovely Thermomix measuring spoons here. They're super useful. A fork, yes. Yeah. 2 teaspoons of honey. And it's just walking me through this step by step. A tablespoon of soy sauce. Okay. Tablespoon, measure out. Usually I just throw this in, but now I've got these lovely measuring spoons. I'm going to use them. So, tablespoon of soy. And then it's asking me to put the lid on again and insert the measuring cup. It's called a measuring cup because it literally is a measuring cup. So halfway up, you've got a 50 ml measure, and then filled to the top, you've got a 100 ml measure. Okay, so now turn the speed to speed 2. So it's just going to mix that all for 10 seconds. So while it's doing that, I'm going to move my bits and pieces out of the way. Thank you, Michaela. Yeah, I realised that that was in the way. So that's mixing together. And then it's asking me to transfer the sauce to a bowl. So if I just bring you over, you can see what's happened inside. I'm going to transfer the sauce to a bowl. Okay. Let's just put that out into a bowl. Where can I get the spoon from? So they're available on the Bulwark website, Alex, actually. There we are. Okay, so that's good. I'm not going to be too precious about cleaning it all out because actually we're going to continue to use the bowl. So let's just move that out of the way. And then I'm going to go to my next instructions. So add a tablespoon of olive oil into the measuring bowl. So let's find my olive oil. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my scales on because a tablespoon is about 15 grams. So that's going to go in. And I'm going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of Szechuan peppercorns. So this is going to make the, I haven't got my 1/4 teaspoon out. Oh, I'll just have to use half a teaspoon. So about that, Szechuan peppercorns. They are so fragrant, absolutely delicious. They're going to go in. Used a lot in Asian and Chinese cookery. 1/2 teaspoon of Chinese 5 spice. So again, it's just talking me through the recipe. We're going to just saute some nuts off. And then 60 grams of cashew nuts. So these are going to be the accompaniment to our salmon dish. So 60 grams of cashews go into that, and a pinch of salt. Okay, so in that goes. Now, put the lid on. And this is going to cook away for 4 minutes. All right, so I'm just going to turn that speed selector to 1, And I'm going to let the nuts, so it's gone up to Verona temperature, which is just over 120 degrees. It's stirring at speed 1, so a gentle stir for me. So it's sauteing and coating those nuts in a beautiful spiced mixture. And as Marie pointed out, there's actually a recipe for Chinese 5-spice on the Thermomix. And I nearly made some earlier, because I've only got a very small amount left in my jar. And if I hadn't have had enough, I could have made some. Okay, so I'm going back to my chocolate brownies. It's asking me to add in, so there we go. You can see it's all sort of cooked and mixed together, heated together. So half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm just going to be a little bit heavy-handed with the vanilla because I love it. 2 large eggs cold. Now, I don't actually have cold eggs. I don't keep my eggs in the fridge, actually. So I'm just going to pop in these eggs. Should be okay. It was fine earlier when I did this. And then I'm going to put the lid on. And it's asking me to mix it for 10 seconds at speed 3. So all I need to do is turn that dial to speed 3. There we go. And it's telling me what process it's doing. It's mixing it. So I'm just going to put those eggshells in the bin, get them out the way, because this is what we like to do when we have a Thermomix. We can clear up as we go along so we can minimize the mess. I don't know if anybody watched Remarkable Places to Eat this week on Monday evening. I love that program where they tour around Britain, finding these real gems of hotels and restaurants to eat in. But if anybody was watching it and didn't know what one of these machines was, you hopefully will now, if you go back and have a look, the Elderflower at Lymington, which looks like the most incredible restaurant in the New Forest, in the kitchen of the Elderflower, was a brand new TM6, which the chef was using to make his rose hip gel as part of his beautiful presentation plate for dessert. So these machines, not only are they used domestically, but they are also used professionally by Michelin-starred chefs all around the world. It's actually rumoured that the Queen has a Thermomix or 2 in her kitchen as well. And we have, many very famous, well-known chefs that love their Thermomix and do talk about them a lot and how they use them on social media. So we've got people like Monica Galetti, who presents MasterChef. Monica has been using Thermomixes in her business for many years and is now an ambassador for us. And who else have we got? You're going to have to shout out some names at me. We've got
Gino D'Acampo.
Gino D'Acampo. Yeah, how can I forget Gino? Yeah, from daytime television. Gino, again, does a lot of work with us, creates some recipes specifically to be made in the Thermomix. We've got Tom Akins, it's Tom Akins, isn't it? That also does a lot of work on Instagram using his Thermomix, and you can see his Thermomix in action in his professional kitchen. And they are used all across the world because the professional chefs say that there is no better tool than a Thermomix to have in a kitchen. It's so versatile. Okay, so now it's asking me to scrape down the sides, and I'm not going to use the spatula that I've just used my Chinese spices with. So I'm just going to scrape that down like that. Okay. And then add in 2.5 ounces of white flour. That goes in. Now here, you could use gluten-free flour if you wanted to. You could probably even use ground almonds, actually. Now it's asking me for some cinnamon. So these are Mexican brownies. I'm not going to put the cinnamon in because nobody will eat them apart from me. And frankly, I do not need to be eating a tray full of brownies. And then put the lid on. And it's just going to knead away. So we're just employing that knead function now. If I just take the lid off, I don't think we're going to see much in there if I bring my ring light over. So you can see this, see it kneading away now for 45 seconds. So again, I can just leave it and go back to what I am doing with my other Thermomix. Now, these are, I kid you not, I made a whole tray of these brownies this afternoon, and then I made the mistake of popping out for about 40 minutes while I went and picked my oldest son up from tennis. And this was what was left when I came back. So I wanted to do a real, here's one I made earlier moment after they went in the oven, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do that this evening. But I can show you sort of the finished result. And I mean, these are beautiful, squidgy, gooey brownies. And And actually, it's pretty incredible given that there's no chocolate in there. It's just made from cocoa. And if you wanted to make them a bit healthier, I know there's a lot of sugar in there, but you could also use cacao. So here's my beautiful mixture. Now, once again, I'm just going to scrape the sides because there's a little bit of flour just caught up around the sides where the blades just kicked in. Oh, this is a lovely mixture. Can you see? Beautiful gooey mixture. I'm just going to pour it straight into my baking tray like that. And then we'll get it in the oven. So now when you're watching programs like MasterChef, The Professionals, you'll see Thermomixes on every bench. They're often used on Saturday Kitchen. In fact, one of my customers and friends told me I think she was watching Saturday Kitchen Best Bites at the weekend, and the Thermomix was being used on television. So you may not have clocked it before. And now, whenever you see one of these white machines with a silver bowl, you'll know exactly what it is. But, you know, this is why I think they're sold in this way through a network of trained advisors, because actually, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they are just a food processor. And this is why they are sold with an advisor to help you get the most out of these machines. If you sort of walk past it, you just walk past it, I think, in John Lewis. You know, if it was on the shelf in John Lewis, it costs £1,149. You think, well, why would I spend £1,149 on a food processor when I can, you know, buy a Magimix for a lot less? Well, not many food processors will cook and temperature control for you as well, which is a fantastic benefit, especially when you're making things like these advanced sauces, making a hollandaise. I can make a hollandaise in my Thermomix, and again, this is why a lot of chefs use them, in about 8 minutes, just by putting all the ingredients in and clicking start. It will do it all for me. So now you'll notice I've put the bowl back on the machine, and that is because I'm just going to use one of the modes to help me clean out the bowl. So I'm just going to put turbo on, and then I'm just going to put it to 2 seconds and just give it a blast of turbo, just like this. You need to press the home button afterwards, actually. So customers, new customers, if you don't press the home button after you've activated turbo, you'll be waiting for a long time for those locking arms to release. So there you go. You can see it's just spun off all the mixture onto the sides of the Thermomix. So you can go round, and for a thrifty cook like myself, it's very satisfying because I hate leaving mixture in the bottom of the pan. It's very disappointing, of course, to my children who love to lick a bowl out, but actually with a Thermomix, there's barely any waste at all. You can get most of it out. So now, I mean, it looks a little bit like that. What I will do is I'm just going to fill it with some water, a little drop of washing up liquid, and then set off. Let me show you this on my modes, because we haven't gone through these modes yet, but I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to go onto the pre-clean function, and I will just turn my pre-clean function to universal. Oh, now it's gone on to dough, just to universal, and it's going to run about an 8-minute pre-wash program for me. So, I mean, this thing not only plans all of your meals that you want to cook, which is fabulous. So it makes you really organized. It will, through our recipe app, you can then create your ingredient shopping list. From there, you can sync it with your online shopping provider. You can have your ingredients delivered directly to your door from your online shopping provider. All you've got to do is put them away. And then, just depending on what you're going to cook, get your ingredients out, and then you've got your sous chef to cook for you, and it even washes itself up at the end. It's absolute genius. So there we go. I'm just going to give it a final little flick around. And because I'm incapable of leaving anything on a spoon, I am just going to give that a little scrape with the knife. And I'm going to pop it in my oven at 160 degrees for about 20 minutes. So let's just put that down.
Mine's ready.
Echo. Oh, yours is ready. Right. Okay. Before we go to you, Sarah, can I just get on with the salmon dish, the rest of the salmon dish?
Oh, yeah.
And then we can talk through your finished dish, because I'd like to get this cooking. I can see it's 8:30 now, and I just want to get this on because it will take about 10 minutes to cook. Okay, so this smells phenomenal. Can you see in here, I've got my spiced cashews. It smells delicious. So I'm just going to decant these to a bowl. Okay, so they're coming out. Lovely little snack this will make actually as well, not just to go with the dinner. There we go. Looking forward to those to have a nibble on tomorrow if there's any left. I don't know if there'll be any left. Right, so they come out. They really do smell amazing. Now, nice with the G&T, absolutely. Without cleaning the mixing bowl, I'm going to put some water in there. It's asking me to place 500 grams of water. So this is where a hot water tap comes in handy, because I forgot to measure it out earlier and I won't have time to boil the kettle. So I'm going to put some hot water in. I always like to put actually hot water in when it asks me when it's cooking. So 500 grams, can measure it straight in. Lovely. Oh, look at that. I'm showing off now. Tells me it's fine. I've got it on 502. Now, what it wants me to do is place aroma into position and place one salmon fillet. I'll show you this actually. I haven't actually done this recipe before, but the reason we picked this is because it's had really great feedback. So you can see on Cookie Do the star rating. I think it's got something like a 4.8 star rating. But also I have got a lot of personal customers on my Thermomix Quiz Facebook group that have said how amazing it is. And it's really healthy as well. So I'm just going to show you what the recipe looks like. So place Varoma into position. So this is the Varoma, which I'm just going to spend a little time talking to you about. So it looks a bit like a flying saucer. You've got two levels inside the Varoma. So you've got the dish and the tray. Okay, so this is where this whole multi-level cooking really comes into its own, because you can be cooking on about 6 different levels with a Thermomix. So it's asking me to put it into position with a salmon fillet in the dish and 3 salmon fillets on the tray. Well, I've only got 1 big piece of salmon, so that's going in there. 500 to 600 grams total weight. That's perfect because that's what it is. Now, what it wants me to do is, do you remember this marinade that we did earlier? So that I put in a bowl. It wants me to drizzle 1 to 2 tablespoons of this beautiful marinade or the ginger sauce over the salmon fillets. So there we are. So I'm just going to pop that onto the salmon fillet, and it already looks much more exciting. There we go. Lovely flavors as it's going to cook. Leave it like that. Then, so arrange 150 grams of courgette, cut into battens, 1 bunch of 10 stem broccoli in the Varoma, then cover with the Varoma lid. So this is my tray. It's going to go in there. And then all of these vegetables, I'm just going to shove onto that tray. Now, I don't know if this is all going to kick through because I've gone a bit over the top here like I usually do. But I found this asparagus with peanuts in Asda today, and I love asparagus. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to shove some asparagus in there. So look, on my tray, I've got the asparagus, the broccoli, the pak choy cut up, and my courgettes. And then when I click on next, what it's going to do, it wants me to put my lid on. So here's my lid. To put the Varoma on, you need the lid of the mixing bowl on, you need the measuring cup out, and we're just going to pop the Varoma on top. So it's got its like hat on, top hat on. There we go. And then you can see on my dials, we've got 6 minutes. We're cooking it. We're going to be, my bowl temperature is 80 degrees. We're going to reach Varoma temperature. And all I'm going to do is just turn that to speed 1. And it's going to steam and cook away for 6 minutes, okay? And that's what we're just going to leave it to cook. So whilst it's cooking away, I'm going to hand over to Sarah, who is going to show us her finished dish, I think.
Ah, yes, actually, my timer's just gone off my rolls as well.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, you've cooked the rolls too.
There we go. I might just put them in a couple more minutes just so they brown off a little bit more. But they're looking amazing. Set timer for 2 minutes. Right, so we've got the Moroccan chicken. Let's have a look. I've never cooked this dish before either.
This is the steamed couscous now. So do you just want to explain? So you rehydrated the couscous to start with, didn't you? We didn't show that bit to people. You just put it in a bowl, put some water over the top, left it to soak, then popped it into the varoma tray to steam over the sauce, the main sauce, while it's cooking. So that's a very authentic way of cooking couscous, actually. If you go to Morocco, they had, and Nigella Lawson's got one on her feast book, I think. It's a beautiful couscousier on the front, where you would always steam your couscous in the top receptacle over the bottom bowl as the meat stew or the vegetable stew is cooking.
Yeah, it's lovely and light. Lovely. Right, and here is the chicken. It's great. So, this is my husband's tea and mine. Don't like to waste things. Right, I'll just light up now. There we go. There's a bit more sauce. It's amazing, actually, the sauce. There wasn't any sort of, I think there was 50 grams of added water in this recipe, but the chicken looks to be cooked perfectly.
It looks really good, and also it's great that it's not drowning in sauce either.
Yeah.
You know, you will have that sort of the natural juices coming out of the chicken, creating its own chicken stock. So there we go. We'll take a photograph of this and we'll put it on the group a little bit later. In fact, we can email you. So I've obviously got all your email addresses, the guests that have attended this evening. So we can email you photos of the finished dishes so you know exactly what it looks like up close. So I think my salmon's got 3 minutes left to go on it, Sarah. I think you were going to just show us a little frozen fruit sorbet. Yeah. Were you?
Yeah, I was going to just do some quick ice cream.
Yeah. So, ice cream, even better.
Right,
super
so
healthy ice cream.
I've got some cream that you need using up in the fridge. So anyway, this is a good showing you. This is just granulated sugar. It's asking me to add 60 grams. You don't have to add quite as much as that, but this will be for the kids, so it won't be too hard. Right, I'm going to do about 50. And then put the lid on. And this is going to take 15 seconds just to spin into icing sugar. I love this bit. See the icing sugar start to come up. There you go.
So this is a great cost saver as well, being able to make your own icing sugar. Icing sugar is double the price of regular granulated sugar. You can actually make caster sugar as well in 2 seconds. Icing sugar, look at that, 10 seconds. So what it also means is that you only need really 1 bag of sugar in your cupboard. You can do all sorts of fun things as well in a Thermomix. You can make your own golden syrup, believe it or not. I believe you can make molasses as well. Yes, you can make things like condensed milk, all sorts of really fun stuff.
I'm adding 500 grams of frozen fruit. Get over there. Okay. And then this is just going to spin that up. So that's just, I bought that actually, just that frozen fruit, but you can freeze your own fruit, often.
Yeah, so you can use, there's lots of different flavors you can do. You can do like mango, pineapple, cherries, the morello cherries from Asda are delicious, or Waitrose to use in this dish, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and you can whip up this really incredibly quick frozen fruit sorbet or ice cream in about, what is it on for about 1.5 minutes, Sarah?
That's done, 15 seconds now.
Oh, 15 seconds, yep, to start with.
And then I just add, it says 120 grams of cream.
So again, if you were on a dairy-free diet, you could use a cream alternative.
Yeah,
or you
sometimes
could
put
miss it
yogurt in
out
and
and
it's
just,
already
yeah.
through.
Or you could put yogurt in, or you could use a dairy-free yogurt as well.
Like a spatula. So then this. Right. Next. Oh, yes, I have to just. They asked me just to stir it while 40 seconds this will take. That's it. And I'll just stir this, keeping the ice cream off the edges really. The spatula won't go through as it's got the guard on it. So you can never get it mixed up with the glaze.
So Sarah's just sort of stirring with the spatula from the inside just to make sure that all the frozen fruit is being blended up evenly. Ice cream made in action, love it. But this is a great dish if you've got children. We're coming into spring, summer. Hopefully we're going to get some warmer weather. I don't know about you, but my kids are always saying to me, "What's the pudding, Mum? What's the pudding?" And if I say to them fruit, they'll always say, "Oh God, not fruit." Then I'll say, "Okay, go and get me a bag of frozen fruit." Now, my eldest son's favorite is mango. You can do a mango and turmeric sorbet. You can do a tropical fruit one. My little girl loves cherry sorbet. And if you didn't want to put the sugar in, you can use a frozen banana for a little bit of sweetness and also a bit of a creamier texture. And you can have this beautiful frozen fruit ice cream ready to serve. My kids lived on this pretty much in lockdown. It was their mid-afternoon snack in lockdown last year. And I was sort of safe in the knowledge that actually they're really just having fruit and I'm not giving them, lots of additional stuff that they didn't need. So, look at that in a beautiful glass.
Presentation.
So, yeah, you'll have to get a picture. Get Alfie on the case to take a picture of that.
I will do.
So that's the frozen fruit. So done. So in less than an hour, with lots of talking, you've made bread. You've made a main course, haven't you? Including the couscous and a beautiful pudding. So that's a demo on its own.
I've had 20 minutes in between, not doing it, just waiting for the Thermomix to cook. So it's been pretty stress-free.
Yeah, stress-free, which is what why a lot of people buy Thermomixes, because actually we're all very busy, we all want a little bit of extra time, and it's just like having an extra pair of hands in your kitchen helping you out. So whilst Sarah's been doing that, obviously I've made my own butter, I've made brownies which are in the oven, and I just did remember to put the timer on, so I've got about 7 minutes left to go. And then my salmon and my green vegetables are steaming away. So in here, I don't know if you can just make that out. Can you see the steam sort of coming off of there? My greens are steaming beautifully. I've got salmon in the bottom steaming away. I've just given it an extra 5 minutes actually, which was on the recipe when Sarah was just showing us how to do the sorbet. Oh, and I'm just going to show you the cleaning function. So here we go. In this bowl, can you see it's really dirty? I've just put the water and the washing up liquid in there, and now I'm just going to set it off to clean itself. So I'll show you what that looks like afterwards. So that's the end of the cooking segment. Hopefully you'll stay on long enough to see the brownie coming out of the oven and the finished salmon dish. Whilst the dishes are finishing off, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you get hold of the Thermomix. So obviously we've got some prospective owners on the call this evening who are interested in becoming owners, which is fantastic. We always love adding people to our Thermomix community. So in terms of cost, a Thermomix costs £1,149. Now you don't have to pay all in one go. We have payment plans over 1, 2 and 3 years. Now, very excitingly, until the 19th of April, our 1-year plan is interest-free. So that works out at £95.75 a month. So we allow you to spread the cost over one year, which is £95.75 a month, over 2 years, which is about £56 a month, and over 3 years. Hang on, let me just spotlight myself again. I think, there we go. And over 3 years, which works out at £36 a month. So lots of these people, my customers, are not necessarily, there's a big sort of myth in the Thermomix world that actually only wealthy people have Thermomixes, and that is not the case at all, actually. A lot of people buy these machines on the £36 a month plan. When you think that is less than £9 a week, £8.45 a week, you will save at least twice that, if not 3 times, off the cost of your grocery shopping by having Thermomix. It literally does pay for itself. Now, I thought that was too good to be true as well at the start, but now I have got over 200 personal customers, and every single customer, without fail, even the ones that cooked from scratch initially, tell me they save on average between £20 and £50 a week off their grocery shopping. Because what having a Thermomix enables you to do is buy cheaper, fresher ingredients and cook them from scratch. You can avoid buying ready meals, you can avoid processed food, convenience food. I have a lot of people that have ditched takeaways as well. And if you think a takeaway just costs, what does the takeaway cost for a family of 4? 50, 60 pounds, sometimes more. I have people that say to me, well, I'd love a Thermomix, but I can't afford one. And I'll say to them, well, how many takeaways do you have a week or a month? And they'll say, oh, we have a takeaway on a Friday, sometimes on a Saturday as well. Well, a lot of people don't realise when they look at it how much they're spending on food like that. And actually the Thermomix philosophy is that you can make your own restaurant quality food easily and effortlessly in a Thermomix, but much cheaper than you would spend by buying that food ready made, and it will give you a restaurant quality result. And again, you know, this is something, my children have been at this. This is one of my homemade yogurts. I now make all my yogurt in a Thermomix. I'm going to stop that because it's making a big noise in my ear, and it's probably making a big noise in your ear as well. So I can make about 2.5 kilograms of yogurt for an approximate cost of £2 in a Thermomix. The yogurt tastes just like a mulla corner. I will add for homemade fruit compote or fruit jam in. Again, dead easy to make in a Thermomix. Lemon curd. You can put Smarties in if you want to. This takes me less than about 10 minutes hands-on effort. The most difficult thing is making sure your jars are clean. I run them all through the dishwasher and then dry them in the oven. So the Thermomix will, I can make my yogurt mixture up in a bowl. I use a yogurt pot from a previous batch to start it. So I just add milk, I add cream, I add a little bit of sugar. I actually like to add a probiotic capsule and some yogurt. It will heat it all up for me to the correct temperature, cool it down, just decant it into pots. I pop it into the Varoma overnight and I ferment away for 10 hours while I'm sleeping. And when I wake up in the morning, I come down to about 20 pots of beautiful homemade yogurt, which will last a week or two. And that's a lot cheaper than buying it. So, you know, there are a lot, we've shown you a few ways this evening, making the butter, making your own sugar, obviously making restaurant quality main meals from scratch. But things like making yogurt, you can make your own pesto, you can make your jams, you can make Nutella, which is palm oil free. Again, a really big selling point for lots of people. So not only can you make all of these different things, and I'm sure some of the girls on here that are Thermomix owners and advisors can pop them in the chat, ways in which you save money, just making your own bread as well. You can save a significant amount of money and actually calculate. I had one lady, I think she's joined on here this evening. I went to do a demo at her house and she said to me, if you can make me a hummus as good as you can get in the shop, I'm going to buy one of these machines, because she used to spend an absolute fortune on hummus. She tried to make it at home herself. Sue, if you're there, I saw you join earlier. I don't know if you're still there. It used to cost her an absolute fortune. She was going through pots and pots of it, but the children, when she tried to make it at home, she could never replicate the texture or the taste. We made it in the Thermomix, we served it to the boys, there were big smiles on their faces, and there we go, Sue became a Thermomix owner, and she loved her Thermomix so much. Oh, there we go, hummus is a hit, fantastic. She loved it so much, she's now become an advisor to share the magic and the benefit of Thermomix with her friends and family as well. So if you make your own sort of bread, if you make your hummus, if you make yogurt, you can make yours, just swap out one takeaway a week. you will be quids in. You will save way more than you spend on the weekly or monthly cost of your Thermomix on your payment plan. So that just covers the cost aspect. Hopefully it will answer some of your questions. If you've got questions, please do ask. And the final thing to say about that is, please, if you're going to buy one of these machines, do not just go on our website and buy one. If you do that, you will be left without an advisor. So the benefit of having an advisor is that you, first of all, when you buy your Thermomix, you will be offered the monthly customer promotion. So you will not be able to buy on an interest-free basis. And often we have bundle offers as well that go alongside the Thermomix. You will not be entitled to any of those if you buy online. But most importantly for you, you will not get any of the support that comes with having an advisor. It costs no more money. And you get access to these demos. You will get a virtual induction, which we run regularly, monthly, so that introduces you to all the aspects of the Thermomix and how to use it correctly. You've become part of a fantastic owner advisor community where you have got amazing help and support on tap. And if you're not already on my Thermomix Whiz Facebook group, please do find it on Facebook and ask to join, because that is a fantastic resource for customers, but also prospective customers, to have a look and see genuinely what owners think about their Thermomix. So you get all of this support at your fingertips if you buy through an advisor, but you won't if you just go directly on our website and buy. And the other thing to say is, please beware of these scam sites. Now I'm just going to turn this off because it's doing my head in, my beeper's going off, but I do want to take my brownie out of the oven, and I did see my oven gloves, but they appear to have disappeared because my husband has been using them. Here we go. I'm just going to get my brownie out because I don't want to overcook it. There we are, lovely. So yes, that's still, look at that, lovely and springy. Ooh, in the middle. I'm just going to leave that to cool down and turn the oven back up so he doesn't realise I've been fiddling with his ready meal that he's got in the oven because he didn't want to cook, or didn't want to eat what I'm cooking. There we go. So it doesn't stop you buying every single ready meal, apparently. But please do not succumb to these scam websites. You can only buy a Thermomix through an official channel, either on our own website, which is vorwerk.co.uk, or through a representative advisor, an approved advisor. There are many websites out there now springing up purporting to offer discounts off a Thermomix. Our policy, our company policy, is to never discount off a Thermomix. So if you find a Thermomix at a discount online, it is a scam. And we know many people who have lost their money by buying through these sites and their Thermomix has never arrived. So that is just a word of warning. If you see a Thermomix online for £949, it looks too good to be true. It really is too good to be true. So I hope you, oh, I know what I need to show you. I've shown you my brownie, but I need to also show you my finished salmon dish, don't I? So let's, without further ado, get this out. Now, again, I love this aspect of the Thermomix. So here's my lid, which sits on top of the Varoma. I'm just going to take it off like this, and it's going to become a tray. So I'm just going to lift the Varoma off like that and pop it onto the tray. Okay, so that will just catch all the juices. Here is my beautifully steamed, can you see that? My green vegetables. They've been steamed to perfection. There we are. And then underneath, I'm just going to grab another lid actually, because I want to move that to one side and I want to show you my salmon. So here's my beautiful half side of salmon cooked like that. So I am just going to pop it onto a plate. Let's serve it as well. So very interested in low carb. Yes, so well, Michaela, you've got the expert on here this evening. Michaela's been doing low carb for quite a while now with her husband. And there's lots of keto recipe collections and low carb collections as well. So let me just get, oh, look at that. It's absolutely how I like it. Can I just show you that? So it's still a little bit pink in the middle. Look, that fish is flaking so beautifully. I'm going to try, now I've made a mess of that because I'm trying to rush to get it on a plate. I'm going to try and get a server. Ooh, please don't break up. Presentation was never my strong point when I was at Chef's College. I have to say, I'm more of a just get it on a plate and hope for the best sort of cook. All right, there we are. So let's pop that onto the plate. And then I'm going to serve some green vegetables with it. If I can find a pair of tongs. A selection of my green vegetables. So let's pop a few asparagus, some tender stem broccoli, some courgette batons, and some pak choy on there. I will be eating this tomorrow evening as well, I think. Right, let's put that there. And now what have I got to go with it? I've got these beautiful, so I know you can't really see that as I'm plating up, but that's probably a good thing actually. Like I said, they do give you serving suggestions at the end, so don't panic. And then you've got these beautiful nuts just to go over the top or on the sides, and a little bit of extra sauce. Can you remember this marinade? You can drizzle a little bit of that around the plate as well. In a very chefy way. I might come around there as well. Oh yes, I need Darren, my professional chef who's on the team. So there's my beautiful plate of salmon and perfectly steamed green vegetables and the spiced nuts with the extra Asian dressing. Can't wait to tuck into that tonight. So we've got that, and then we've got this lovely brownie alongside it with the homemade butter. Okay, so we've done it, and I always like to sort of allow about 90 minutes. So we have generally about an hour of cooking, and then we have a little bit of chatting alongside it. The one final thing to mention is running alongside our interest-free offer on the 12-month plan this month. We also have a bundle offer if you're in the market for a vacuum cleaner. So Thermomix are owned by Vorwerk. Vorwerk own a sister company called Cobalt. Cobalt are a big household brand over in Europe, through Eastern and Southern Europe, Germany in particular. Lots of families will have Cobalt hoovers, and Italy is a massive market. In the UK, a bit like with Thermomix, we are playing catch up, but we have a bundle offer. So if you happen to be looking for a vacuum cleaner, we have a great offer with a big discount off of our Cobalt vacuum cleaner, which consistently score really highly in comparative tests with other brands. So, and again, very well known over Europe. And in fact, I think something ridiculous, like every second house in Italy has one. Our aim in Thermomix is to become like our European counterparts, and have a Thermomix in every UK house by 2050. So I hope some of you this evening are going to help us in that mission. We do this job because we absolutely love it. I couldn't sell something that I didn't truly believe in. I'm not joking when I say this thing has changed my life. It's changed the life of my family. It's changed the way we eat, even though I'm a chef, and I've seen it change so many of my customers' lives. So I will end on saying, I think it is the best £1,000 you will ever spend on a kitchen appliance, and you will get that money back in spades 2 times, 3 times over. And that is just within the first year. And then the world is your oyster, and you will continue to save after that. Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you. So yeah, if you want to pop us a little comment in the chat, are we going to let us know if you're really seriously considering a Thermomix now? Obviously, your advisor, so I run these on behalf of a lot of advisors, these demos. So the advisor that's invited you to the session this evening will be in contact with you afterwards, just to get some feedback from you, and obviously to find out whether you are interested in joining our fabulous community. So I can just see a little question from Lynn. So I'm going to go onto the chat because I've been ignoring that. There's 83 messages in there. My Dyson is dying, so good timing. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can I ask what the guarantee is? Yeah, sure. There's always one thing I don't mention. So the guarantee on a Thermomix is 2 years. We do now offer extended guarantees, so you can extend the guarantee for another 3 years, giving you 5 years in total for the cost of £149. So if you want to do the extended guarantee, we can do that on an interest-free basis as well. But you get 2 years with your machine. Now, in the extended warranty has only come into being since January this year or February this year. And actually, you know, my machines are 3 years old now. My TM6s are 2 years old. My TM5 is 3 years old. These machines are built to last. They are German designed, German manufactured. They are very, very robust. Yes, you have this. You have a 2 year warranty. They are fantastic. If anything goes wrong with it during that time, they will come and pick it up, take it away, repair it, and bring it back to you completely free of charge. So there we are. Have I got any other questions on here? What I'm going to do, actually, I think, is just stop the recording. So if people want to speak sort of freely, if I just stop the recording.